All right, welcome back to my motivational messages, and today we're going to be talking about escapism. So, I grew up in the 70s, and I remember bits and pieces of it in the earlier years, but as a history teacher, in studying it, I've learned probably a lot more than what I remember living through. But in the 1970s, we were coming out of Vietnam, and many Americans viewed Vietnam as a loss. There was a lot of issues with returning veterans and protesters, and that was in 73, and of course Saigon fell in 75, only solidifying a lot of emotions related to Vietnam. Of course, we had a president who resigned and was possibly facing impeachment, and American people who wanted to see him put on trial. And of course that doesn't happen. We're in a recession. There's an oil shortage. There are gas lines at the gas stations. There's high unemployment, and there's just a lot of turmoil during the 70s. Well, a man by the name of George Lucas comes out with a movie, low budget, sci-fi, no-name actors, in 1977, and it becomes a blockbuster movie. Not right away, but over the course of time it does. But I think what captures people's attention with the movie Star Wars is the fact that it takes place in a galaxy far, far away. It's an opportunity for people to escape. If you think through the movie, there are no references to historical human history in it. And so people can watch the movie free from being reminded of what's going on around them. But they can also be reintroduced to the concept of good versus evil. And there's a clean delineation between what is good and what is evil, and good ultimately wins. And I think Americans were looking for that again. They were struggling to find it through Vietnam, through the Cold War, through their political corruption and so forth. And so this movie kind of provided that for them. It provided an escape for them from reality. I believe that our society has a problem, though, with escapism. Let me give you a definition here and then talk about it a little bit. Escapism is the patterned tendency to avoid difficult aspects of personal responsibility by engaging with separate, easier, and usually less productive tasks. The patterned tendency to avoid personal responsibility. A phrase that I'm beginning to hear more and more, even from young people, is adulting. I'm not adulting today, or I'm not going to be an adult today. And when it's used, sometimes it's mostly used humorously, but really the intent is I'm not going to be held responsible today. I don't want to be responsible today. I just want to be carefree today. And as we think about it, there are so many ways for our generations, for our society, for our culture to escape, and the most easiest one to point to is our cell phones, our smartphones. And it seems like everybody's looking down. Everybody has earbuds in, and they can do that and walk through a crowd and not be responsible for making any sort of connection. They don't have to be responsible for any conversation. They don't have to be responsible to help somebody who might be in need because they're busy. They're connected. They're distracted. Kids put headphones on, turn up their tunes, and sit in their rooms with the doors closed, or they binge watch, which is another one where they just get on their device and they binge watch a series or a whole season, in a day. And they don't have to be responsible for chores. They don't have to be responsible for homework. They don't have to be responsible to converse with their parents or their siblings or anybody else. They don't have to be responsible to interact with the world around them as long as they are connected. And, this escapism is a problem for our culture because we are fostering this culture, this attitude of escape. And this is why we end up with 30-somethings, 20-somethings living in their parents' basements, going to work and then spending their money playing Call of Duty online, all night long. And they're not responsible for anything else. And it's the culture that we're beginning to develop and the patterns that people are beginning to set. And it's dangerous because people will begin to look for more and more ways to escape as responsibilities become greater and greater and greater. And unfortunately, we start seeing young people getting into alcohol. We see young people getting into drugs. We see young people getting into pornography. We see young people getting into very addictive habits that are unhealthy in order to escape reality. They don't want to face reality. And so, we as a society need to step up here and help teach these young people how to be responsible young adults, so that as they get older and become adults, they can continue to develop and grow and learn how to handle new and greater responsibility. So my challenge to you, as it was to my students, is learn to do the tough things first. That's my challenge. Learn to do the tough things first. And then enjoy binge watching. Do the tough thing first, and then put on your headphones. Do the tough thing first, then pick up your book and read your book. Do the tough thing first, and then do your leisure activity. Do your PlayStation. Do whatever. Get your homework done first. Have that conversation with your parent first. Get those chores done first, and then when you're doing your leisure activity, you're playing your PlayStation, you're listening to your music, you're reading your book. When you get done, you don't have to worry about, oh man, that's still there. That's still hanging over me. It's not hanging over you. You can even enjoy your leisure activity even more because you don't have those responsibilities hanging over you. Ignoring responsibilities doesn't make them go away. It doesn't. In fact, sometimes it only causes them to grow more and more. And then by the time you get to doing it, it's so big, it has become nearly impossible to do. And it's more than you want to handle. So be careful that you're not developing patterns of escapism to avoid responsibility and taking care of the things that you need to do in life. But learn to do the tough things first and then enjoy those things. Thank you for joining me again today. I trust that this was helpful for you. So be sure you subscribe, make sure you like, hit comment, share with others, and hopefully I'll see you back next week. Thank you.